In this video, I'm going to teach you the steps that normally professionals will take to fill all the little gaps that you find around your hardwood floors. Whenever you are refinishing your hardwood floors, you have these issues, and I'm going to show you how you can fix it without spending that much time and money. First of all, when you do all the sanding of your hardwood floors, you want to go ahead and correct all the little marks of like the sanding discs and the areas that are uneven. So in the first of the 3 videos, this is the second video of refinishing hardwood floors. And I'm going to leave you in the description and somewhere over here how you can see the first video where I show how to do the sanding. This one will be the filling of all the little cracks and holes, and the one that is for the finishing with the polyurethane. So you have all these little gaps over here, and I want to make sure that I explain everything really well. That's why I don't want to do it so long. But anyway, you have all these holes around here. These hardwood floors were covered with carpet for many decades, and once they were pulled out, I was able to find out that all these little gaps were made obviously for moisture and all these things. So I want to fill all of them up, and you know that if you're thinking right away about it, you think, okay, I'm going to use a wood filler to just fill all the little gaps. But remember that this is a huge area, and look how much they cost. So no matter how much or how many of them you will buy, you're talking about a lot of money. And besides that, they don't give you that much time to work with, and it will be really messy and really expensive. So that's why, although if you have like few little gaps that you want to fill, this probably will be a really good idea. If you have, furniture or things like that, that was a different story. But for this case, I'm going to show you the steps that a lot of professionals don't show, because either they don't have the time, they don't want to record, or they just don't have the willingness. But you want to go ahead and use all the wood dust that you collect when you are sanding down with like number 80, number 100, something that starts being fairly fine. And using this sanding sealer, this is a water-based sanding sealer. They don't smell as much as the regular lacquer base or whatever, so this one is really good. Always use masks, even if you are outdoors, because this dust is so fine that can get into your respiratory cavities and give you a really, really bad time. So we want to go ahead and mix 1 gallon of wood dust with 1 gallon of sanding sealer. Now the cool thing about being water-based is that if it turns a little too thick, you can add a little bit of water and it's not a problem. But 1 gallon of wood dust and 1 gallon of sanding sealer will be fine. If you notice that it's extremely watery for some reason, go ahead and add a little more dust, but you wanna have some sort of loose, creamy finish on your wood dust, because you want to make sure that it fills really well into little crevices. And that's why we're looking for something that is really fine, because that way it can go into all those gaps easily. So once you have it like that, it was raining, so that's why I had to kind of empty the bags inside. You want to make sure that you keep all the dust away from the house, and always use, in this project normally I will use like 3 or 4 masks, because they just get really, really clogged up really quick. So you want to go ahead and mix the entire content of that for this area. This is a big, like a 400 square feet area, but anyway, you want to mix it up really well to see how nice and creamy it is. That's because the consistency has to be like that, so it will glide really easy on top of your entire hardwood floor. This is a 14-inch compound knife, and I'm just pulling some with like a 4-inch knife over here. You want to make sure that when you apply this thing, you remove as much excess as possible from the floor. So this is obviously when you start, you want to go right next to the perimeter and start filling these gaps. But there are some amazing properties of this type of technique. The first one is that you are using the same type of material, the same dust that is there. Although it looks a little darker, it's because it's just wet. But once it turns dry, it just looks exactly like the material that is there, because it's made out of the same wood fibers that are on the floor. So you want to be curious about this thing. You have to have a lot of patience and obviously really meticulous, because you want to make sure that, again, you remove all the material from the floor. And it's not that hard. You just want to make sure that you work in like a zigzag pattern. You want to make sure that you remove, again, all the rest. And don't be afraid if you see some darker spots on the areas, because the thing is that you are handling something that is wet, and obviously is going to get into the wood fiber. So in some areas where you are overlapping, you will see maybe a little bit of darkness, but that is going to go away once it's dry. Don't worry about it. As long as you're using the same technique that I'm using over here, you're not going to have a problem. So if you notice, see, I'm going in like an 8-figure pattern over here, and that's because I will be able to like drag all the material and make sure that I just remove it. This will give you a really good amount of time to work with, so you don't have to be extremely fast. I'm fast forwarding over here because I don't want this video to be too long for you, but the idea is that you apply this really well, you remove as much excess as possible, because in a moment I'm going to show you the sanding technique that you need to use to be able to do all the work together really well. Now, remember that a sanding material will or machine will be able to get into a lot of areas, but if you have a small palm sander, I have a battery one, it will be really good, because you can, using like a 100 grade sandpaper, you can get to the areas that bigger machines can't. And I'm going to show you in a moment what I mean. So once you have all those areas nice and covered, you want to make sure that you allow this to dry for a while. And the reason is this: when you're doing this type of work, obviously you have gaps that in some occasions are just bigger than others, and no matter what, they will need to dry. So don't rush yourself in this particular project. You want to make sure that you do this and you come back next day. Maintain the floors fairly warm, so you want to keep them below, I would say, 65 degrees, and the reason is that you want to make sure that they dry really quick. But look at the gaps that are all nice and filled, all of them around. If you find some little areas that need a little bit more, so you go ahead and put some more on those areas. So that the whole thing is that you want to make sure that you allow it to dry. And if you notice, after one day, you see that they're all filled, but the color is the same. It's a uniform color. It's a dry finish on the floors, and you don't see those transitions that you had before. This is a buffer, and for this particular process, we're going to use the support. So that you want to just bring it all the way down, and the first part that you're going to see there is going to be the grip for the foam that is there. The pad, the red pad that you see there, the round pad, is going to get into those. It has some sort of like plastic spikes that are going to hold it together. So first you want to lock this in really well, and after that you want to go ahead and put the pad. Now this pad will help us later on the buffing, but you go ahead and put that one, and then the screen. This is a 120 grid screen. Remember that on the first video, this is the second out of 3 videos, I'll show you the steps that you need to take to do the floor sanding. But in this case, I'm going now with the repairs, with the cracks, with the gaps that you see in between. So go ahead and put it like that. And this is important. If you never used these buffers before, an important tip that I have to give you is that this thing has a lever on the side that will allow you to bring the handle down. So you want to make sure that you go below your waist, just a little below your waist, and you secure that right away. So you have to lock it back into that position. And the thing is that when you push, when you pull the buffer up, or when you bring it down, you change the direction of the buffer. So you want to make sure that you're in the middle of the room, and after that, you want to make sure that if you want to go from one side to the other, you push it down or push it up or pull it up. So that way you can actually maneuver this. But again, if you are new, you want to make sure that you're in the middle of the room. But if you bring it up or down gently, you will go side by side, side to side. Anyway, so what you want to do is be patient. And I use actually 2 of these sanding discs, the 120 grit sanding discs. And the reason is that you want to go all the way around, and you want to make sure that you clean all those areas. Remember, the palm sander you want to make sure that you use the palm sander to go to the smaller sections against the walls and things like that. And if you have a little piece of sandpaper, you can go ahead and do the small little corners, because obviously you won't be able to get them with bigger tools or to those corners. But this is also the time for you to correct any final little scratch that you have done when you're doing your sanding with the edges or the drum sander that I showed in the first video. But you want to go ahead and cover all the little holes and sand it down really, really well. And an important part of this process is also to be able to remove all the dust. How do we remove all the dust from a project like this? Well, you need to use obviously vacuums. You want to make sure that you vacuum this really well, and also you want to make sure that you use some damp sponges to be able to get really close. But if you notice, I'm really meticulous, really patient, really thorough with what I'm doing, just to make sure that everything is nice and flush. You don't want to leave obviously debris on top of it, but it will go, all of them will be removed. And again, maybe you want to pass in some areas that you notice. The important thing is that you do the first vacuuming of the floor, then you go ahead and do some corrections and move on. So that's an important part of the project. Now, another important thing about the project is that if you notice, we don't have no moldings around. You want to take all the shoe moldings out. Again, in the first video, I'll show you all the part. But once it's nice and clean, you want to have it ready for the polyurethane, the two coats of polyurethane that we're going to apply on this case. But go ahead and check all the floors. Make sure that you don't have scratches. Those are the areas. Maybe you want to use a lamp or something that will help you, because that's something that you don't want to come out at the end of your project. So this is the moment that you need to take a deep breath and do the entire thing properly, because that's what professionals do. So here's the water. You don't need a ton of water. You need just enough to be able to damp this in and just wipe all the floors really well until you don't have no dust. But I will show you on the third video how to put these coats of beautiful polyurethane on top. And in this one, please like it. That's the best gift that you can give me. Like it, share it, comment, and see me in the third and final video. Bye bye.